welcome everyone. Yes, I got it. And then one more thing, and then we'll be record the clock. All right. So you're welcome. We have wherever you're joining from, we have another set of couples here with us today. Our third set for the interview. And I'm sure that we are going to learn a lot from them because they are putting so many years as a couple together. And I would ask that you please pay attention. You're here, you signed in. Please make sure that you are all in, all here. Put aside your phone if that will constitute a distraction so that we can all glean from their experience. So we have with us today Pastor Phil Phillips. He's from Eket local government in Akwa Ibom State, South Nigeria. He did his high school in government secondary school at Eket in his native place, and then went on to College of Education in Uyo to study mathematics and economics. And then after that, he went to the University of Nigeria where he studied computer science. Upon graduation, he worked with the federal government of Nigeria in the Federal Ministry of Water Resources, and then joined the transfer from there to the aluminum smelter plant, where he spent some years and then eventually transferred to a school. We will eventually interrogate that. He worked with the Pegasus school, an Exxon style school. He was one of the few brethren that started the Redeemed Christian Church of God in Eket. The same spread to you and then to other parts of the state. That was in 1996. And it has created some other regions. Regions 14, 29, and 49. He is at the moment the assistant provincial pastor in Oron in Akwa Ibom State. They are married with 4 unique children. Pastor Odochukwu, we call her Pastor UD. Pastor UD Phillips was formerly Orisi. On the other hand, is from Asaga in Ohafia local government area, southeast of Nigeria. She attended the University of Nigeria Staff School and then went to the University of Nigeria to study, just a minute, home science and nutrition. And after that, she also studied in the University of Calabar for postgraduate diploma in education, ending up in the University of Uyo with MSc in economics, home economics. She is a professional teacher, has taught in a number of schools, including community secondary school, Ikoru Sekong in Eket, and is presently at Eket Modern High School, Ekpenobom, still in Eket local government area. She got married to Pastor Phil on January 13th. So that was a week ago, just over a week ago was our anniversary. So happy wedding anniversary.
Happy wedding anniversary.
Thank you.
So that, as we said before, they are blessed with 4 children. She's also a minister in the Redeemed Christian Church of God and the wife of the assistant provincial pastor. Of course, they work together. We'll in the course of this interview or chat, we'll maybe ask them a little more questions. But let me just tell you one thing that is unique about them. Phil's parents were teachers. The mother was a teacher, the father was a teacher, and eventually retired as a school administrator. Pastor Yudi's mother was also a teacher, and then a school administrator. The dad was a school administrator in the University of Nigeria. So we have children of educationists and also educationists themselves. So we'll see how this has played out in the marriage. So can you all join us as we welcome Pastor and Pastor Mrs. Phil and Udochukwu Phillips.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank
You're
you.
all welcome.
Amen. Thank you.
So I don't know if you want to make an opening comment just before we start.
It's a pleasure being here. I want to thank God for the coordinator. I want to appreciate the fact that being a brother and also he has lived a life that many of us, and even in the school days, we have seen a unique thing about him. To be called to be part of this, we really appreciate it. And we believe that God will give us the grace to share the little experience that we have with others on this platform. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Pastor Yudi, anything?
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure being here. We know it
All
will
right.
bring a lot of renewal to our relationship and others.
Thank you.
So much.
Okay, go on, please. Sorry for the interruption. I thought.
Okay, I say it's good to be here. We know that this interaction will bring about a lot of renewal to not just our relationship, but to all that are part of it. So we are grateful.
All right, thank you very much.
Right.
One more thing. Let me, for those of you who do not know, Asaga is where the legendary evangelist Umar Kwai is from, and incidentally is her uncle.
It's a relation.
Yeah, okay, it's a relation.
It's a relation, yes.
Okay, so let's go on. The first question is, where and how do you meet? Did you meet? Asaga in Ohafia and Ekej in Akwa Ibom. Where did you people meet?
Thank you so much. Like the blessed friend said, you know, I attended University of Nigeria, Nsukka. She attended University of Nigeria, Nsukka. And I was in the scripture union, the Christian union of the University of Nigeria, Nsukka. And she was also there. But at the initial stage, you know, I didn't know her. It just, as God will have it, we met at the Christian Union, University of Nigeria, Nsukka. That was where we met.
All right. Thank you. Sister Yudi, what's your own part of the story?
That's the story.
Okay.
He came to study there, and that was what we met.
Okay. So what you've answered is where. How has not been answered. There were two questions. Where did you meet? Yes, University of Nigeria, Nsukka. How did you meet? That resulted in this relationship, moving into the same house.
No. Okay. it was in one of those fellowships. We just had fellowship together. We finished from one fellowship like that. Actually, I was actually coordinating the gospel singers, the music wing of the Christian Union. And as at the time she came to join, I didn't even know, I didn't even recognize that she was even there. But it was one of these evenings that we just finished. And I just saw, it's like that I saw a person for the very first time. And I had, a sort of a move, a weakness in my spirit, and I shared it with my prayer partner. We prayed over it for quite some time. And my prayer partner, to his blessed memory, Chikodi Iraya, that was my prayer partner. And we used to pray together. We shared together. And we prayed. I had a weakness, to approach her. So we actually met in the Christian Union Fellowship. And that is all where he started.
All right. Thank you very much.
Together. Yes.
So, Sister Yudi, tell us your own side. They were praying about you, and what did you feel while they were praying about you?
Pardon? What?
Phil said he was praying. He and Chikodi were praying about you. So, what were you feeling while they were praying?
Somebody was praying about me.
No, I know. I'm just.
Hello.
Tell us your own part.
No, God, the way God works, God may prompt one person before the other. So I didn't really know what was going on until he came up with the proposal of how he was led. So I also needed some time to also pray too, even though initially I didn't feel there was any such thing that could work, because my feeling was, how will somebody just emerge from nowhere? I don't even know the person so well and will say he's led. But since as children of God, you need to subject everything to prayer. So we started off like that, prayed through.
All right. Thank you very much. I think my wife would like to take the next question.
Okay.
Okay, so thank you very much. And so when it became obvious, that you are going to get married to the bishop himself, how did you go about preparing for marriage? What was the first thing in your mind that, wow, this is what I need to address in preparing for marriage? Pastor Yudi.
Okay. Well, I knew from the onset that marriage is not a one-day affair, neither a contract. So I knew that I needed a lot of preparation, gaining knowledge from those who have been on it before. So I linked up myself with some senior friends that I knew had good marriages. So I had I learned a lot of things from them. I also read some books. And in that way, a lot of preparation was made. Apart from prayer.
Okay, let me just drill more into that question. It's an intercultural marriage. Like me, when I wanted to get married to my husband, I'm from Abia State, he's from Akwa Ibom. I know certain things went through my mind. So were there things that crossed your mind along that line, intercultural marriage?
All right. Okay, I get the line you're saying. Well, in that aspect, I knew in my mind that it was not an ordinary marriage. If God was taking me to another culture, it meant that he had a purpose. So I needed to know that even if maybe many people where I'm going may not accept me, But I had the mindset that, well, it's God that is taking me there, and I'm not married to everybody there. I'm going there to marry one person and, to do whatever God is sending me there to do. And I knew that as long as I'm there doing the will of God, every other thing will fall in place. So that was my mindset.
Wow, thank you so much. Thank you. And that reminded me of mine, a scripture that came to my mind, that whatsoever that is born of God overcomes the world.
Yes.
Thank you. So, Pastor Phil, how did you
Yes.
manage that, seeing that you were going out of your comfort zone, as it were, to reach out to a princess in Ohafia? How did that cross your mind? How did you handle it?
Well, like a child of God, it was not that easy at the beginning. But since God was involved in it, actually, I didn't just want to begin to think about where is she from, where is she not from. I had that settlement in my heart, first of all, because of the dealing of God upon my life when it was, that aspect of settling down. So I knew very clear. So I was not so conscious of, if I go there and they pursue me with machete, what will I do? No, it wasn't. It was something that had been settled already before I move on. So I noticed that when once God has made an approval and is settled in your mind, God will be waiting for you, to take a move. Then everything will align themselves to it. So that was how I handled it.
Wow. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Okay, I think that may deal with the two questions there. But most couples are different. The husband, temperamentally and otherwise, are generally different. Different personalities. Is that true of you?
Come again.
Most couple are different. They are different in personality. So are you people, have you noticed such differences?
Of course. There are no two individuals, even if they're identical twins, that will not have differences. Talk less of, people from different locations. There were personality differences. And, when we eventually align ourselves to who is the source, who is the center, who is the reference, which is God. So he knows how to handle the differences and make us move in the direction that he himself has channeled for us. So that is how we handle it.
Okay, Sister Yudi.
Yes, definitely. In marriage, it's expected that the two people will never be the same in temperaments, in so many things. Well, yeah, that is where tolerance and understanding comes in. But that doesn't mean you just swallow up everything and maybe be softening it. If there's any aspect that maybe doesn't go down well with one of the parties, the right thing is to voice it out. And I think with time, there should be a level of adjustment. Because in marriage, you're to, what will I say, regard your spouse as a better part of you. It should be your desire to please your spouse, to make sure that he's happy or she's happy. So when such differences arise, it should be discussed and necessary adjustments should be made.
Okay, thank you very much. I think you almost covered the second part of the question which I wanted to raise, which is how this impacts your personality differences, has impacted your marriage, especially maybe the area of communication and how you've handled it. Any additional things?
Yes, I was just wondering if it was possible for us to have a practical example of one particular one and how you both handled it so that others could learn practically from it.
Well, a very practical example I may want to put across is that most especially what happened in languages. And that will be the first thing, because different cultures, different languages, the first will be language and how to interpret and how to follow up, because there are some issues in one language. The way they were approached things may be different from here. But in our own case, I don't know how it happened. My wife happened to be somebody that can easily associate and learn language. I have a little bit of challenge to learn language. I spent 4 years at the University of Nigeria in Nsukka. But unfortunately, I cannot actually speak Igbo fluently. So, but she's somebody that can move in. You know, if she stays and begin to speak her dialect, you'll be thinking that she's from here. But one thing with me is that we are able to put together, we laugh over certain things. Sometimes at that initial stage, she will speak Igbo language. I will look for a way to adjust myself. I will just speak my language. You all laugh. And at the end, we're understanding what ourselves and keep on moving.
Okay, I think I'm quite impressed with that. Rather than quarrel over why she spoke in Igbo, you responded in your language and then laughed over it. I hope that those of you watching us on Facebook and those joining on Zoom, you're taking note of that, especially for those of you who are also in multicultural marriage. In our first session, somebody asked a question. I think I would like you to also respond, although what you said covers it, where the children, maybe the mother or the father talks to the children in their native language. And then what should the other person do? I think from what the person was saying, I can imagine that the one gets angry because the other one is talking to the children in their language. So have you had such a case? How do you handle it?
Well, within us, our decision was that, in fact, my wife was actually on the platform of telling our children to make sure that they learn their dialect, learn their language. She was so passionate, even now, so passionate. I said, you must learn this language. In fact, the way she forces them to learn is not the way I just push them. But, you know, we have seen that at a point, some people were thinking, is she actually from Igbo or from the Yoruba or the Hausa? Because, you know, because of her structure, her unique behavior, some people were thinking that I was marrying from somebody from Hausa. Okay. I know, Iba, you remember that people were just asking us, is your wife from the north? I said, no, is it because she's darker than me or so? So some of those things, God actually helped us. Our children actually could understand. When we noticed that it was like a challenge, the best thing for us to do to handle that, it was we communicate in English and they just speak it. They understand at the very, that initial level, so that we didn't didn't create problem from any direction. So as they grow up, my wife we begin to speak the language, they begin to integrate into it. So we didn't take it as a problem, but we handle it that way. We make sure that in whatever communication, when we sit together to eat, some of the communication, we know that, the children will need to be just reduced to a simple English communication. And we can chat and we can laugh. And sometimes my children will make some word in our own dialect. Even me, I will be laughing. My wife will be laughing. I say, look, my friend, you need to learn your language. So that was how the thing just go like that. And the Lord help us. And that is why it has been a very unique time.
But we still want them to learn the language. We are still on it. We're still working on it. I still want them to learn their language. I'm not even particular about my own language of my birthplace. Because sometimes when you interact with people, they say, your children should know 2 languages. At least you're an Igbo, they should learn Igbo. I'll tell them they are not Igbos, they are from Akwa Ibom. So the first language they should learn in addition to the lingua franca is supposed to be Ibibio. So I'm still desiring that they will be fluent in their language.
Okay.
If I should make an input concerning individual personality traits,
yeah,
I can say the issue of temperament normally plays out when it comes to marriage and when the 2 people are not the same. Definitely, there are some things they will not reason the same way. But then what I feel is that if there's an aspect that maybe your spouse is not reasoning the same way with you, as long as it is not a sin, it's always good to adjust. As I normally tell my husband, for instance, there are some things that we may be talking about. I will want details of, the information. Well, maybe he may feel I'm asking too many questions, That's just maybe differences. So I don't relent. Even if anything should happen again and I still think I needed more details, I still go ahead and ask.
Okay, great. You've opened one of the we ran a survey, the session we had before this, and the question was, what area of your marriage do you want improvement in most? 88% of the people said they wanted in communication. And I think this speaks to that, because when you, between an outgoing personality and a reserved person, depending on which particular personality trait, one will go for short answer, the other one will want details. And if the person making a report is the one who wants details, the one who wants short answers would think he's wasting his or her time. Please go straight to the point. Please go straight to the point. Whereas the one who wants the details, if you're the one telling him the story and you just go straight to the point, you should ask more questions to get the details. So these are areas of God actually ordained it for enrichment of the marriage, but it's an area of conflict. We are actually preparing a series of training on communication in marriage. And this is one area. Thank you, Pastor Yudi, for bringing that up.
Yes.
Okay, can you take the next question, please?
Okay, well, so thank you very much, pastors. Now, I want to ask, in-laws, even in marriages that are not intercultural, they seem to be a big challenge in managing them. So how much more in intercultural marriage, maybe they come to the house, they speak to your spouse in their dialect, you don't understand. How do you feel? Do you feel left out? How do you manage such things? How were you able to manage your in-laws? Pastor Phil, let's go first with you.
Okay. It just it just depends on an individual perspective to that. How I manage that, God has helped me. There are issues that we may not take it as something that will cause commotion. And it was not so easy at the beginning, but God help us. You know, when it comes to not understanding the other language to be able to carry out because of this cross-cultural marriage. But there were some kind of insinuations, you know, even she will be asking me like some questions. I tell her, look, this is, well, he said, okay, you see, in Igbo, they have this similar thing, but it means a different thing. And I said, okay, if your own means a different thing, my own means a different thing. Now that we have come together, we should be able to maybe try to develop our own dialect, language, you know, that kind of thing. So that one didn't cause anything. We're able to move on, you know, and we noticed that as we move on, a lot of things were unfolding. So we come to realize that whether it's cross-cultural or not, when the maker is at the center of it, there are certain things you learn in a very fast lane. There are certain things you understand. It wouldn't be like a challenge to your partner, and the partner will not see as a challenge to you. But you see, amicably, those things will just flow through. And that has been the way God has helped us when it comes to that issue.
Okay, thank you. I have something else to add. Okay, something in that line, but let me hear from Pastor Yudi first.
All right. You know, men are not exactly the same as women. For
Exactly.
men, there are some things they will look at. They just look at it and pass. But for women, a lot of things, even body language, may mean a lot to you.
I 100% agree with you.
You may not know, you may not know what the people around you are saying, but you just have that inner feeling that they could be talking about me, you know. And at that initial time, I can't say it was specifically easy. But one thing I had at the back of my mind, I said, okay, even if people are talking, what they're saying is something that is not positive. Well, as long as my husband is not saying anything negative, it's just for a time, for a period of time. With time, when they know that I understand what they're saying, all those things will not happen again. So with that, I didn't allow it to be a problem to me. So the few words I knew, I would just try to use it and communicate, even though initially it was never accepted, you know. People will make fun of it and even laugh. And in that case, if you're not firm, you might feel so discouraged, you won't even want to communicate with anybody. But when you have it at the back of your mind that, look, I've come to spend the rest of my life with these people, so whatever happens, I must, you know, put my head into it and make sure I blend with them, make sure they even teach me. And with that, with time, everything began to, you know, soften up.
Okay, thank you very much. You've actually touched on what I wanted to ask, so there is no need asking it anymore. Thank you.
Okay, Pastor Yudi, I think you're a very brave woman. A very brave woman.
Hello?
Yeah, I said you're a very brave woman. Because I know we
Thank God.
had an Igbo lady in my family. I think she was the first. Okay, my mom too is not from my place. But because hers is she speaks a language that's a dialect that's close to us, so it wasn't much of a problem. But this other lady, Igbo lady, we gave her paper. We showed her paper. It was very difficult for her. So when you said, when you came in, people may be talking, you feel they may be talking about you, and you don't know what they're talking about, but you braved in to settle in, to make sure you stay. So I think
It deserves it. It deserves it. Yeah.
yeah. So let me also add one more question. Which particular area of your cultures, or that's of the opposite culture, gave you the greatest challenge? How did you manage it? You came to Akwa Ibom. Which part of Akwa Ibom culture gave you the greatest challenge? And Pastor Phil, you went to Igbo. Yes, you studied in Igbo land. You learned a few, but which part really was a challenge, and how did you manage it?
The part that was very challenging at that initial stage was that my wife is from Asaga, and the ladies in Asaga, they are very unique. Girls from Asaga, they are very unique. And they have a tradition that they hardly married outside. You know, so for you to come from outside, number one, you are not an Igbo. You understand that.
Yeah.
And you are coming to pick a unique lady from your own from their own culture to your own. So it wasn't that easy. Every challenge everywhere, you know, but as we move on, the understanding, the love, you know, from the parents and to the kindred, they find out that this one was a unique marriage, not just looking at where he comes from. So that was the initial challenge that we had at the beginning. But as time went on, God resolved it. Today is like, if it's an opportunity to give maybe a title over that place, you know, one is ready to receive that kind of title. That God has been faithful.
Yeah. So, Pastor Yudi.
All right. In my own case,
Prince.
When I came to Akwa Ibom newly, in course of interacting with many people, I realized that many married people were actually having.
Just a minute, Pastor Yudi, just a minute. Prince, can you center them properly? You're not centering them. Can you center them so that both of them are the center of the video? Okay, I think it's okay now. I think we can. Yeah, I think that's better now. So sorry, go on.
Okay. I said when I came to Akwa Ibom newly, I realized that many marriages were actually having challenges in course of interacting with people, maybe in church or maybe just around. So it was as if many homes were actually challenged homes, troubled marriages, troubled families. So I found it difficult to kind of blend, because when you come to a place, at least you like to at least make new friends, and it has to be friends that believe in the same thing you believe, work in the same way you work, at least generally, so that they won't be a negative influence. Because sometimes maybe you ask somebody, how is your husband? The answer I received many times was not actually positive. So it became a very big challenge to me. I said, so in this place, does it mean many people are having marital issues? Well, my own mindset was that my own would be different. So the few people that I noticed were believers and their marriages were working, those were the people I got close to. Because as the Bible says, that iron sharpened iron. You can't go and link up yourself with maybe someone that will be a negative influence to your family. Then, well, I know I'm not saying it to maybe castigate where I'm married into. It's for a purpose that I'm married in Akwa Ibom. I also realized that some men didn't really regard women the way they regard women, or the way they treat women, I didn't really like it. I didn't really like it. It was as if women were second-class citizens or just an afterthought. I didn't like it. So I felt that, well, in my own case, God will not also allow it to be that way. And I realized that some people who may not be having good marriages, but when they see another person's own, they'll be so interested, as if they want to be too close, in a way that I was feeling very uncomfortable about it initially. So those were the areas that were challenging to me, and I really had to open my eyes to anything I knew that would not augur well for me.
Oh, thank you so very much for that. So you made friends of people of like values, and try to avoid close association with people that may have negative influence on your marriage. All right, thank you very much. I think Anu, you take the question number 10.
No, we want to talk about money. Finance.
Okay, sorry. I think, yes, please do.
Yeah, on finances. So let me ask us, do we keep a joint or separate account? Why? And what have been the challenges, and how have you been able to resolve it? Yes, so Pastor Phil.
We have joint account. We also have personal account. It was an understanding. Now, I was working in a different establishment, and she's working in a different establishment. And we don't want a situation where there are some lodgements and some people will come and begin to ask you that. That is for work, for different work, but we have a joint account that is a family joint account. So it doesn't pose any problem, you know, when once maybe she receives a salary, you know, she will just, the thing is there. Her phone is not hidden from me, and my phone is not hidden from her. So it's not like operating that, but whatever thing that we have, you know, in the joint accounts, you know, which has helped us, you know, with the children account to, you know, take care of their education. It was very, so when we don't have, we know that we don't have within us. So when we have, we know that we have. And sometimes, even when I don't have, I notice that there is nothing. But the way something will appear, you know, from the house, I'll be wondering, you know, wondering in the sense that, you know, there are some very unique virtue that I've seen in my wife, you know, and I believe that, you know, men should also look at that. You know, there are certain things, they may carry some small thing and put and keep it somewhere. You know, some of us, we might like to throw away certain things because we don't like seeing things, but those small things, the day things are finished and they put those small things together, you'll notice that you have a good savings account. That savings account in terms of the saving, the little things you save. And we transfer that into monetary aspect of having a joint account, because we need to know each for what we are using our resources to do. So we have different account, current for, you know, transaction in place of work and all that. Then for the family, we have one account, joint account.
So what, sorry if I may jump in, how does money come into the joint account?
No, as I was working, there was a specific, you know, instruction I gave to my bank. And she also gave that instruction, you know, so that when once the salary comes to her, there is a certain amount of money that goes into a specific account, that account. When I was with the Pegasus, there was an instruction I gave to my bankers. They also transfer a specific amount of money to that account and also to the account of the children. So we notice that when once the salary drops, it will go into that account. That what is remaining is what we use in the family.
Okay. Okay, so what you use in the family is not from the joint account, it's from your individual account.
What we
Use for the family.
What you use to run the family.
Okay, what we use in the family is from the remaining from the different accounts.
Okay.
But this one joint account is for the rainy day.
Okay.
And that with the children academic pursuits.
Okay.
Okay, so Pastor, you need to add something else to that.
Me, myself.
Yes,
Yeah.
please.
Okay, well, what you said, that is how it is. But issue of accounts, God has helped us at least to have to be transparent. Even the one that is not the joint account, if there's no transparency, it means that there's a secret. So the issue is, if anything comes in there, I'll let him know. And if anything comes into his own, he will also let me know.
Okay, so thank you very much. So the key word there is being transparent, whether you keep a joint account or a separate account.
Yeah.
No hidden agenda.
No hidden agenda. Let each person know what the money that comes in and what it is going to be used for.
Okay.
And even if somebody should be giving money, at least there should be an information, oh, I'm giving so and so money to somebody.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, sorry, those of you in the, if you want to ask a question, or maybe you want something to be clarified, you can put in the chat. And those of you on Facebook, you can also put it as comment. We will pass it along to them. We are gradually approaching the end of the talk. Let me ask this question here. If you were to begin afresh, you have 96, this is 28 years behind you. If you were to begin afresh, what would you do differently and why? Let's start with Pastor Yudi this time.
Okay, if we are to begin afresh, I think initially I was having this feeling that we didn't have enough. There were some areas we didn't actually have enough counseling, because in Christianity, once they say somebody is born again, sometimes it's assumed the person knows so much about marriage. So from time to time there were issues that cropped up. Personally, I used to tell my husband, I say it's like we didn't pass through enough counseling in this area. Not that he was doing anything, like as an unbeliever per se, but there were some things I was expecting, maybe something better. So I'll just put it that way. Sometimes with a little annoyance, I'll say it's like you needed more counseling for this marriage. But I think along the line, they normally say experience is the best teacher for those who have made up their minds to be teachable. So along the line, I think some things are falling in place better, but we are still moving on to perfection. Everything is not perfect yet.
So you mean a whole APIC, you want to arrange counseling?
See,
it's a school that nobody graduates from.
You don't graduate from there.
It's a school that nobody graduates from.
All right, so
yes.
Pastor Phil,
because everything is not spiritual, if I should use that word. Hello, sir.
Yeah.
As everything is not spiritual, there's some times you could expect, certain physical responses to some things, and if it's not happening that way, you feel, is it that this person should have needed more counseling in this area?
Or should have married an angel.
Spirituality may not solve that particular problem.
Yeah,
So that's the aspect I mean.
Yeah, I understand you. Philip.
good. So, Pastor Phil, if you were to start to go back to with 28 years experience, they say start the race afresh. What would you do differently and why?
You know, one thing is this. My wife grew up in a university environment. And you cannot compare a university environment from another environment. So the way she looks at things and appreciate things was different from the way I look at things and appreciate things. You know, somebody that have been living in an environment and understand the attitude and manner of some people, and now from a foundation, the secondary school and the university in a place that she could understand the manner of people and all that. And here I am coming from, you know, a place to go and test the university environment. And you notice, if it is now, I would have taken some time and really understudy this is. So this what you are talking about is not a spirituality here, is actually a proper relationship. So I would have taken time to really study somebody from that environment. I'm not talking about even where she's coming from, you know, where she has been around, school, and all that. But God actually helped us. You know, like she said, you know, sometimes, you know, the way we're brought up, you can be talking to somebody, holding somebody's hand. That is a very practical issue. But she understands that talking and say to somebody certain words, it doesn't go well. So she will not be pinching me and say, I don't like that, and so on. I actually understand. Sometimes I'm a frank. I say, what is it? What is happening? Am I getting out of control? He said, I'm not talking about that. You may not know today, but tomorrow. So I think if we were to start afresh, there are certain things, those small things, I will be very, very careful about it. And they really take time, because there are certain things my wife has seen that I've not seen, you know, at that initial time, but I didn't understand, because I was operating from a different, you know, environment, and she was operating from a different environment. And I think that was how the Lord just helped us.
Yeah, I think I understand. You were even from Eke town, and my own is from the real village. So you know what it would have been. Good. So now the next question is, if you were, this one is for Pastor Phil first. If you were to boil down everything to say one or two things, 1, 2, or 3 things that really make marriage work, what would be those 3 things, 2, 3 things? If I were coming to for counseling and you really wanted to give me the 3 keys for a successful marriage, what, in your own experience, from your experience, what would those be?
See, for marriage to work, and there must be some, number one. Now, this one we are talking about here is Christian marriage.
Exactly.
We are not just talking about any other marriage. Now, if it is Christian marriage, the anchor point must be that you really know that God is in that relationship. God must be number one in that relationship. And now, God, even though there's the promises of blissful experience, joy, and all that, God didn't say you will not have some challenges. He didn't say you will not have, you know, some kind of question that you need because you are from different background. You know, even if you were from the same culture, you are from different background. So God didn't promise that there's going to be a blissful distance throughout. It will need an understanding. So we need to understand each other. You know, the chemistry of a woman is different from the chemistry of a man. And you need to understand that. And when you understand that and we're able to flow together, you'll find out that you will not have problem in your marriage. even with the people around you, will not have problem. And again, like my wife said, when you are open to each other and sincere in talking, in the things, the decision you take, and most of the things you do, you will not have problem. So the issue that we hear people fighting in marriages and so on and so forth, sometimes it's just like a strange news. We wonder what will cause a man to carry and beat the wife and the children and then drive them away and be jumping up and down. You know, it means that, number one, there was no understanding in that marriage. There is no love. God is not at the center of it. And now, even when others, I know that some people that are tuning in may not be Christians, but when there is an understanding, when there is a recognition that this one is an individual and needed to be respected and needed to understand what he or she is made of and be able to reference that and honor that and respect it. They say respect is a reciprocal. When you give, what you give is what will come back to you. So when you give out love, definitely love, respect, it will come. Honor, it will come back to you. So ultimately, as we submit to one another, we will see ultimate love flowing through. And that God has been so faithful when we put him at the center of our relationship.
All right, thank you very much. Pastor Yudi.
My advice to women.
Okay,
Hello?
yes. I mean, if you were also to boil down everything to two or three things, what would you?
Okay, I will say that, well, marriage is a relationship of love.
Okay.
It is, love is the pivot that can make even things, a place that they would have been war, there will be peace, and the two people will continue to move on, you know, knowing that it's not, they are not into a contract that will end in a few days. They're into a lifetime relationship, and love has to be the pivot. And it's a relationship of building, wherein you have come into not just to grab, you've not come in to grab, you've come in to contribute a quota to make that home a better home, or the life of who you're marrying. You've come to contribute a certain quota that God will enable you to give to better the life of that person. And it's also a relationship where you learn. You don't claim to know it all. It's a school that you don't graduate from. You learn every day, and should be open to corrections when the need arises. And it's a situation that you know that your spouse is the all and all that you have. You don't have any plan B out there, or somebody you feel is better than your spouse. Because when that happens, it means you're beginning to look for, that person is beginning to look for trouble. And it's a relationship that you'll be in, and one of your mindsets should be that you will make the best out of it. You make your home the best, a home that people will want to, be associated with.
All right, thank you so very much. Any final word to women?
Well, my final word to women is that any woman that is already into marriage, you should know that if you make your husband a king, ultimately he is supposed to make you a queen. So that all your attitude, all your actions should work towards that, because God has made it that he is your crown. If it is well with him, it means it will be well with you.
Thank you so very much. And Pastor Phil, a word to the men.
I want to share this one with men. I want to let them know that when you recognize, or when you are married, I want you to know that there is something in your wife that you cannot get anywhere. That God didn't make mistake to bring the two of you together. And whatever thing you think you cannot see in your wife is already there. And there are things that God will want you to bring her up to that level, to actually help her to live to that level. And that is why you are being made the priest. And whatever thing you may not understand, it is better for you to ask the one that institutes the marriage, and that is God. So there is nothing that you can find in this world you think that you can find in other women. The unique thing that God has prepared for you is in your wife. Even if she doesn't understand today, and you know that you had a conviction, there is love, there is understanding, there is a unique relationship, definitely you begin to tap into the treasures God has deposited in her. Because you notice that sometimes I get challenged. When Adam woke up, Adam said, this is now. When once men come to that level and look at your wife, said, this is the one, this is the one. You will find it difficult to begin to put your eyes there and there and there and there. It's just understanding who your wife is. And now she will be, when you treat her as a queen, and you know, sometimes she may ask certain things, even if you don't have, you look for a way to do it because of the way you treat her. And the way she will treat you, you yourself will be sitting at the gate and they said, you see, that's my wife. And you know, the Bible says the husband of a virtuous woman will be known at the gate. And so on. We believe that when we recognize what God has given to us and deposited in our wives, our marriage will be unique.
Thank you very much. Sorry, I'm going to ask a question that wasn't written here in the list I shared with you, but I don't think it's very invasive. So it's okay. Pastor Yudi,
Yes.
can you tell us one particular way that your relationship with Pastor Phil has changed you? And then Pastor Phil, also you will answer the same question. In what way has Pastor Yudi and your relationship together changed you? Or when I mean change, of course, you know, improved you, not
Not
yeah,
change.
go ahead.
Well, I think before I got married, there were some areas of my life I noticed I was a little bit very soft. I could cry over very little things. But when I got into marriage and in the first 1 year, because of some challenges that God allowed to come our way, somehow at some point I noticed my father, my mother, they were not there. My brothers, my sister, nobody was there. So I knew that I had to face this, you know, those situations. So somehow God used those situations to make me a little bit more rugged than I was.
Good. And Phil?
What has actually, my relationship, my marriage, my wife has changed me very positively, and I thank God for it. I'm such a person that I can relate with people. I can share with you without anything at the back of my mind when it comes to relationship with opposite sex. But when I got married to her, she started telling me, look, the way men say things is different from the way women understand things. Now, if a woman come close to you and say certain things, you may take it very serious. But to you, it was like a statement you made. So it was in our marriage. She would just, when we come by, say, look, you know that thing you did. You don't know what is in the mind of that person. I said, which kind of man? Anything that is in a man, I know what I said. I know what you are saying, but that is not the way that person will do it. And sometime ago, many years ago, I had a challenge. It was because of that advice. And I said, God, thank you, because if I didn't take precaution, somebody was, moving around and maybe making some kind of statement, and people were saying, he's a friend of Pastor Phil and all that. But for the fact that the people that were trying to talk to actually knew me. And when I told my wife, I said, but I told you, the way people look at things and interpret words from a man is different. And I used to, if I greet you, I can hold your hand, And my wife said, no, when you hold the hand of a woman for too long, you should understand it from a different perspective. Be careful. And I think from that and our training in the mission that we belong to, RCCG, we have been told, be very careful on certain things that you do, because the opposite sex doesn't understand your intention. And they may come with a different mindset, and they may put you into trouble. So avoid whatever thing that could appear as something that will make you fall from grace. And that God has been so faithful. And that is what actually our relationship have produced and help each other.
Oh, thank you so very much for these insights. I don't know if my wife has something to add as a closing comment, because we are.
Yes, please. Yeah, just there's a question on Facebook which I just want to bring out. It says, as a woman, why don't you submit all your money to your husband, trusting him to lead?
Why don't you
submit all your money?
Why don't you submit all your money to your husband, trusting him to lead? It's a question on Facebook. Not particularly for you, for what? That's a question on the Facebook.
Okay, do you expect an answer?
So,
Okay.
Yes, I understand that that's how you people agree to manage your finances. But somebody's asking, why don't you just hand over everything to Pastor Phil and just trust him to use his judgment?
maybe Pastor Phil should answer.
Maybe Pastor Phil should actually answer it.
Yeah.
All right.
Please, let's put it like this. How did you arrive at this decision to have two separate accounts and a joint account? Because I think that will...
All right. See, it's not a problem. Submitting it is just the same thing. Now, I don't know the aspect of something. Maybe when you are paid in the bank, you go and withdraw the money in the bank and come. So the decision we have taken is just like bring everything, sit down here, take this one to this way, take this one to this way. So it is she has actually submitted all. And from our decision, but from our discussion, I said, okay, now keep this one here, keep this one here, keep this one here. When it comes, let this one be moved to this account, let this one be moved to this account. She has actually submitted everything. So it depends on the type of submission people talk about. Whether you think I go and carry the money, you have paid 10,000 naira, you want to withdraw 10,000, I said, sit down here, what do we do? That could be a long process. But when you sit down with your wife and take a decision, this is how much I earn. I earn 10,000, I earn 10,000 or 20,000. What do we do? How do we plan ahead? He said, okay, keep this, put this one here, put this one here. So that even when I'm there, or I'm not there, she knows what to do. She knows exactly. The ultimate thing is that there must be transparency in whatever things you do. If you bring the money and the man said, just go, I'll give you something to do, and use the money for something, there's no transparency there. And the woman will be suffering. He doesn't know. She's the one bringing the money and you are wasting it. So we didn't, that was not our decision. So our decision boiled down to that submission, bring all. She has actually brought all, and we now decide on what to do with the all that we have.
Pastor Yudi, you want to add something?
Okay, in addition to what my husband has said, it's just that transparency issue. It has never occurred to any one of us that maybe there's a foul game going on at the background. Once maybe, for instance, I'm paid salary, I say, okay, I've been paid though, and he knows what I earn. And maybe if we have children's school fees and all that to pay, we know how do we handle it? How do we handle these fees? Okay, you bring this, what can you give? I bring this, and we make sure that together we handle that. An issue of not surrendering everything to a man, I would say, well, not that it has been voiced out before anyway, but men, they spend differently from women. You know, a man could have all the money in his hands and maybe may want to plunge it into a very big project without
What's happening? See what's happening.
Hello, what's happening?
Okay, I think it was maybe it's network problem on that side,
Yeah.
but they're still on. Let's see what happens.
So while we're waiting for her, maybe you could just summarize what she and Pastor P has said on this finance.
Okay.
Because it's like the person that asked on Facebook seems to be more concerned here. There's a follow-up comment. He wants more, he wants Pastor Yudi to actually answer it. So
Yeah, she's answered now.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. So maybe you just summarize what she's saying while they try to come in.
So the issue of they actually agreed to bring both of them bring all the money together. Then they made a decision as to how much is transferred to the joint accounts and what is left in the individual accounts. And Pastor Yudi was explaining before they had the internet issue that the reason they decided to have something in the individual accounts is because the spending pattern of men and women are different. Men could plunge the whole money into a project and forget that school fees will be due in a week's time or in a month's time. So and women will be more concerned with those things that have to do with the children and the home. So because of that, I think all those things came into the decision to operate the way they do. But I think this is not cast in stone. I think the main issue is look at your circumstances and what works for you. To me, I think what they did, the way they have managed us is a very wise method, so that you can still do what, maybe spend a little thing, money you need for maybe toiletries and all those kind of little things, while the main things that planning, investment and all that is transferred to the joint account. So I think that's a very wise thing to do. I think, Pastor, well, we are already rounded up. We're rounding up when this happened. There have been internet issues on that side. So I think I will go ahead and just close, because there's really not much more to ask. So thank you everyone for joining. Those of you on Facebook, you're quite welcome. We'll be meeting again next month, but let me just make an an advance announcement. Based on the survey result we had last week or last month, we are preparing a series of training on communication in marriage. So I'll let you know when that happens. But see you next month. I will post, as usual, on my story and status on WhatsApp and then the different groups to let you know when the next meeting will hold and who we'll be talking to. So thank you for your time. God bless you. See you next time. Thank you, Pastor Godwin, for joining. Thank you.
Thank you, Pastor. Thank you.
Thank you, Joel.
Comfort Ayok, thank you very much for joining. Brian Eddy, thank you for joining from Doha.
Thank you.
Joel Oko, thank you for joining from, I think, Port Harcourt. Pastor Folarin, thank you for joining, maybe from Lagos or where? Or South Africa, I don't know. And then, all right, so thank you, everyone. God bless you.
Okay. Thank you. See you next month.
See you next month. God bless you.
Yeah, thank you.
So I'll stop recording. Okay, so